for people that aren't here.
Yeah. Now I don't have the mechanism that Tammy does to store it on certain places. So what I will do is I'll put it on YouTube, but not make it public. And then I'll send a YouTube link to everybody.
Okay, so problem one was getting into too late. Problem two again was when we waited too long, if we waited for the slots to turn black after being green for a while, the drawdown gave up too much profit. And the third problem was we were getting caught in a lot of little choppy stuff where we were just trying to make a few ticks and it was just too hard to do it. So I rebuilt the workspace to do a couple of things. First, instead of using a 2LB, I used a 1LB. That'll make things much quicker to get into and much quicker to get out of. So if you were trying to scalp a few points here and there, this will do a better job. So to give you an idea how this works, just so your settings, you just want to go into timeframes.
Oh, you're not sharing your screen.
Go down to custom. Oh, I'm sorry, but I was. Hold on. Let me find my Zoom. I'm working on a laptop today. Can you guys see it now?
It's starting to load. There you go.
Okay, so this is yesterday, starting in the morning. I always like to catch those little swings in the morning. But anyway, so let's see where we started. We started actually over here, right? Somewhere in here. At 8:30, which is when we should start.
Did we lose Art?
Maybe. I don't hear him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Either we lost him or he's being really still.
I think we lost him.
You love.
Yeah.
He's got internet trouble too, I guess.
Yeah.
It's infectious.
Yeah.
He
Got
He
like
just had
coronavirus.
he just had that fiber installed from AT&T.
Yeah, that's weird.
Recently.
I did. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure your settings are looking like, oh boy.
Don't have your screen. It's,
Yeah, I know, but the trace it. It's going to take me into a different account. Okay, anyway, you can still see this, right?
I can't see your screen.
no, we can't see your screen.
Okay, let me start over.
All right, looks like we got Bill joined us and Bevan.
Hey guys,
Hey,
Hey, Bill.
sorry I'm late.
Morning.
Morning, Bevan.
Morning.
Hey, Bevan. So let me start over.
Art had just said, he redid Pong ankles.
Well, I was listening to your comments. I know you guys have been playing around with this thing a little bit. I guess the first problem I'll just review real quickly was we were getting in too late on a lot of the moves. And then if we stayed in them too long, the drawdowns when we got out ate up too much of the profits. And the third problem, again, was we were getting caught up in a lot of chop. So I rebuilt the model to try to resolve those three problems. And the first thing I did was I changed my timeframes. Your workspaces that I sent you last night should be set up this way. So I just went into custom and I changed the LB to 1 instead of 2. So yours should be set up just like that. So if you want to just double check that. I have it set up to exchange as well. Got it, Bevan?
I'm just having to load up TradeStation again. It's crashed.
Okay, I'll come back to it in a minute. It should be fine in the workspace. So, all these trades in here, we're trying to figure out how to take these before. And my argument was that we should avoid all these things. What we're trying to do is find the swing. So I changed the time frame to make it much quicker to get in and out of. And I also eliminated the value lines for now. And I put the R bar on the bottom here. So the way this will work now, so this again was yesterday. So as soon as we get a green R bar, we look up to the valuation and we make sure that's green as well. And we stay in the trade conceptually until the dots turn black or you reach a certain price target. Now remember, you can use price targets on the top of the Pong table. There's values up here. So if you've got two contracts and you want to take one off over here and let the other one run, the top of the Pong tables can be targets. I don't know if you guys have been using that or not.
No.
You might consider doing that. So the goal again would be to catch the swing. So all trades have to start with an R bar. You shouldn't be getting into a trade unless you get an R bar signal. So as soon as you get one,
Is that R bar like a setup? In other words, if it occurred 2 bars earlier, is that good enough?
no, but
It's got to be.
I'll go through it.
bar.
So once you get that, you need a couple of other confirmations. One, you need the valuation to be green. And ultimately, this will get programmed if it all looks good. And then you need the candle to be green.
But you don't need an angle.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to use that right now or not. So for now, I'm taking the trade right there. And I'm staying in this trade until I reach some money management or till this thing turns black. So if I got into this trade yesterday morning, open up my data window.
Now, Art, sometimes I guess it turns black when the candle stops forming, because sometimes it'll go black and then it'll flash green.
Which one are we talking about?
You're talking about when the counter turns green, you get out, but there are times where it turns black and then it'll turn back green. You know, it's kind of like flashing back and forth.
Oh, this one. Well, you have to wait for the bar to close.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
a
so
3-minute bar.
you wait for it to be a black counter after the bar has closed.
Correct.
Okay.
You don't want to get involved in intra-bar noise. You want to stay in the trade. Now, again, Dale, I don't have a problem with taking profits at certain points. That may be a money management thing that we have to come up with. And when it's finished programming, I know we have to go back a little bit and work with Dan again, but these are pretty good targets and you might consider taking them. So yesterday morning, you would have gotten in this trade at, this is the 11 o'clock trade. We'll go back into the morning at 3:59.25. And you would have gotten out when this turned over here at 3:567.
Wait, Art, that's not where you get in. You got to go look at the ES chart to see what the price is at that point in time, because that's
This
not
is
the real
the,
price. Huh?
This is the, no, whatever price is, oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying
That's
that,
not the real price.
okay. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and do this then. So I'll make this
Yeah, make that one ES.
D20. And I'm going to change it to a 3-minute chart. Well, that LB chart, that price there is the closing price. So why wouldn't it be the right price?
It's not. I mean, let's just check it and see.
Okay, this is gonna take a little bit. Hold on. Well, let's go through the mechanics of it then, and we'll just double check it in a second. Okay, so let me just put on my little counter. Whoa, what the heck is this? Yeah. Sorry.
So Art, are they Heikin-Ashi candles?
They're modified Heikin-Ashi candles. So yes, they are and they are not. So they're a little bit different.
So I think that's probably what Dan's getting at, that represents price differently.
Zoom really slows down your so when I get in over here, Yeah, this is just killing my system. I can't move it. Let me go through the
Okay.
concept with you first, and then we'll just get the prices done in a little bit. Oh, there it goes. So I'm right here. So if I'll click on this bar here on the 3-minute chart.
And you're gonna, yeah, that's the one you get in on at the open, right?
Yes, so it's the same price, Dan. 3559.25 on the 3-minute chart. It's the same as this.
Okay.
All right, so I'm not going to worry about a tick now. I'd rather just get,
Okay.
we may be off a tick or two, but I'm more concerned about fixing the bigger problems. So let me just go back to this chart
Okay.
here. I'm going to close this for the moment because it's just time my system. Why it's doing that, but it is. I have too many. Sorry, guys. Fine.
If it's too bad, if you want to log out and get back in on your other computer, you can.
Oh, maybe that'll. So we'll get into the closing prices. I just want to go through the concept with you and show you what it's trying to fix. So if we got in here yesterday, what we're waiting for is the R bar signal. Make sure this valuation bar is green and get into the trade. Now, you can stay in this trade till the slot turns black. Remember, the drawdown here was much larger if you stayed in this thing yesterday than it will be now. You won't be giving up that much conceptually if you just wait it out. So this would have been a 12-point move in the morning.
Can you ask questions now?
You can ask questions whenever you want.
Go ahead.
Does the R bar and the valuation have to be exactly at the same time, or is
No,
it?
you will need the valuation. Sometimes it comes in a bar late. It's best to wait for that extra bar just to make sure everything's lined up. The R bar sometimes will come in a bar before that.
Okay.
I would wait. Here's a perfect example. See how it came up over here?
Yeah.
And you just wait for this to confirm so you don't get whipped around a little bit. And then you just stay in this. This is all yesterday. So let's go back to trade A. So trade A, you had your R bar, you got in. Could have added to your position over here a little bit if you felt compelled to do so and caught this thing up a little bit more. I'm not sure you want to add to a position, but that gives you another choice to do that.
So
Then,
a lot of times these flash. So all that means is it hasn't completed. So you wait for a completed R bar and a completed valuation.
Correct.
Okay, so on the counter, the green dot is in the red in the top row, which is the red bar line. So is that the one you want to look at, or do you want to?
No, I'm getting out as soon as all this green disappears.
No, I'm talking about getting in. The green bar is on the red line, not the lower line.
I'm getting in on this bar right here.
Yeah, but it's okay. So you're looking for a green bar on the top row, not the bottom.
No, I'm not even looking at slot to enter the trade.
Oh, you're not.
I'm looking at the valuation and the R bar.
Okay, and a green.
I'm using slot to exit the trade.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
Okay, that's my fault. So we should stay in these early morning swings. We can work out some money management for those things. One potential money management is to stay in it till this turns black and catch a nice 12-point move. Another money management is when Dan's finished, maybe we'll find we can get 4 or 5 points on that swing, and we should take that. Or we can use the top of the Pong table as potential targets. Okay, so before we did all these other changes, we were trying to get wiggled around in this mess over here, getting beat up. But you can't get into the trade now, even though you're getting all these slots and valuation signals, because you don't have an R bar signal. So all this is just noise. So now you're just waiting around until you get your R-bar signal over here. You get your confirmation signal to go long, and you catch the next swing up. And again, you could use the top of the Pong tables as targets, or you can stay in until this turns black, which would have taken you over here.
So by saying top of the Pong tables, are you meaning a close above or just a touch
No, I mean,
above?
as you're moving up, you see like this price here is 35.75. If you want to start taking some profits as you hit the top of those things, you can do that. Top table
So-
is 35.83.50. If you wanted to start taking profits up there, I like to use Elliott wave theory. I don't like these things going more than 3 Pong tables up. I know that's like my 5th wave. So once I start getting, 3 flips, I'm starting to look to get out of there. So this will give you another potential place to say, okay, I'm going to get out. Okay, so that move again would have been, we'll double check the prices, but without looking at too much, that would have taken you at 13.54, you would have got in at 35.74.25, and you could have got out here at 83.50. So you would have picked up another 9 points on that swing. Now you got a little swing here. So now it's telling you to go down. You got an R-bar swing, and you can catch this move down here until you hit the bottom, or it starts turning, and it starts turning around and turns the black dot stop again. Okay, right there. So let's look at that trade, because that probably was one of the small ones. So here you got into 3.57750 77 short. It went down all the way down from 77 to 72 actually. So a 5-point move. Maybe that's a place where we start taking profits. And then of course, if you stayed in, it goes back up to 74.50. So you still made 3 points. You gave back a little bit, waiting for that bar to flip back up, but not as big as we were getting before. That was taking up way too much of the profit. Waiting for that turn. It was creating situations where you'd have a nice little winner and it would turn it into a loser. Now we have another trade here. You wait for your R bar to confirm right there. And you get into this swing. And you can stay in that thing until this turns black, or you reach some target that you guys are comfortable with. You can
What about
start
that?
taking. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Isn't that a red R bar though in the middle of that?
This is, yeah, well, I'm saying you got in here.
Mhm.
If you got out there at that R bar, you would have probably taken your profit.
Okay, but we wouldn't. So we would ignore that R bar because the rest
Well,
of
I
it.
don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but that's a good question. I don't know the answer. I certainly can't go short there because I don't have a red candle.
The USCB consumer confidence forecast 98.0, previous.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Any idea who's?
Well, you should be able to see on your.
Yeah, so let's just say you saw this. You say, oh, I'm going to go short here. You can't go short just because this is a red R bar, because this is all green and the candles are all green. And
No,
the
I
Gaussian, the
yeah, I was
Gaussian's
just
all
making
green.
sure that we wouldn't exit there.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Hey, Art, on my chart that I got from you, I don't have the candles. I've just
Okay.
got some outlines of I think it's the line break bars.
Okay.
Same
Is that
here.
true with everybody?
Yes.
No.
No, mine's fine.
Okay, I'll send it out again, Dan. So over here, all this mess in here, you can't trade in here because there's all this nonsense up in here. You can't trade. It doesn't want you trading in there until you get over here. Then you catch this swing up. You can exit right there if you want to. Okay. Then you have another one here. Well, now I don't know what is 2200. That's in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah, that's.
This is when we're all sleeping. So let's look at this morning and see what it looks like. Because I haven't looked at that yet.
That's lunchtime for Bevan, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
All right, so you had this swing here in the morning, 7 o'clock. This got us in a little bit too late. See, you got to make sure you're catching these things at the beginning of the swing as well. I wouldn't have taken that. And if I did, I would just try to scalp it right up to the top of that Pong table, but I probably would have not messed with that thing. But here you had a signal at 8:33 this morning, and you just catch this little swing down. My data's delayed, by the way. So I think what it's doing, it's what it's attempting to do, will determine how good a job it does is to fix those three things: to eliminate the noise, get us in quicker and get us out quicker, and then eliminate some of the problems that I saw you guys were having. I think the big problem is all this little nonsense in here where we're trying to figure out how to catch these little moves in here. And I don't think that's ever going to work. And the R bar won't let you do it. Won't let you do it. It's just not going to say, because the R bar is an expansion. And what we want to do is look at the range that it's in. And I put the little dots here. There's some little red dots on the top and little blue dots on the bottom. You can almost see when you're getting close to that dot when it's ready to pop through there, and determine whether you want to take the trade or not. Okay, so I think it's going to do a better job. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is it going to allow us to catch some nice swings in the afternoons and the mornings? I think it will. Will it keep us out of a lot of the noise? I think it will. We still may get caught in a couple little ones, but it's not going to create big drawdowns for us because it's going to turn pretty quick. So I think that's the best I could do at the moment. I'll probably come up with some other ideas as we move forward, but I think this is an improvement. Makes you guys think differently. I mean, I'm just looking at yesterday, and I was listening to what some of you were saying in the room about all these little chop in there, and this is where we were getting beat up and all this mess in here. I mean, it was beating you up. All this little swing in here would have hit you. And it won't let you do that until the expansion starts coming in, and then you catch that big move up there. So I think it eliminates a lot of that noise. Let's go to one prior day.
Looks like it's doing better.
Yeah, it is going to do better, and it's going to be quicker too. I know you guys were getting in a little too late. Let's go to the prior day. So here's 11:22. So we start right off here. You catch that little move up. You don't take this swing down because there's no red R bar here. You wait for this, you wait for that, and then you catch that swing up in here. And there's some big swings in here. So after you get, thinking about Elliott wave theory, after you get that second Pong flip, if you're still in the trade, you want to be aggressive about taking profits in this next leg. So if you're going to stay in this thing and you get one up, another one up, you can stay in this thing and just start looking to take some profits in here. And of course, this gets you out nicely right on that red bar here. See, you're not giving up so much anymore. And that was a nice move. That went from 35.54 up to 34.64. That's like a 12-point move. I mean, if we think about how many points we want to get in a day, what are you thinking, Dale?
A lot of times I'll go for a 2-point, and then other times I try to ride it. So I'm kind of just experimenting between those two, between a 2-point to the top of the Pong table to, until you get a signal. So those are kind of the three scenarios that I'm running. Right.
So the question again is, if we could get between 5 and 10 points a day.
What would be interesting to me is to see what the average run is, and kind of have that, compare that goal against the Pong, the top of the Pong table.
Right. And you can see
my ESZ20 looks significantly different than the SPY charts.
Yeah, well, this is the ES.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that now, and
so when we finish with this run up here in the morning, this all happened, and we were all trying to figure out how do we trading in this mess in here. And you can see this thing is not generating any signals. It doesn't want you messing around in there until you got some sort of a breakdown here. But this didn't confirm. Remember, you need this. That's why we need this valuation. That's got to be red if you get a red R bar like that. See that? So you wouldn't have taken any short, and the candle was still green. So you just waited over here. I mean, that's why we need different, and then we just try to catch this right here. Catch that pop. So this move here.
go back over what can be, you said one of the signals can be delayed and you still take the trade. So which one can be?
Well, I think many times, sometimes you'll get an R bar before you'll get the valuation.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So
Yeah, yeah.
the R bar can occur before you get your trade.
It can. But this is a perfect example. Let's say you had a red R bar here, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at this right here.
Yeah.
You can't take that trade. First off, this is all green.
Right.
The slot's green, the candle's green, and your Gaussian's green. So you just have to ignore that signal. I mean, we want everything. So then you just wait a few more bars later, get your valuation set up, and then right here, you get this expansion. Everything's green now, and then you just catch that shot right up.
So
And you
just
can
to
see, you can
confirm,
use that target, that 3574.25 that you see up there, that's going to be there. You'll see that. So if you have a target up there after a big bar like that, that's a number you will see. If you want to take that trade right there, so there you would have gotten a 356. Let me just double check where we were. That's a 3568 potentially, and at 357.425, you would have had another 6 point approximately, give or take.
so it doesn't matter if it's the bright green or the dark green on the valuation, as long as it's green.
As long as it's green. The R bar is the key. You can't get into a trade unless you know the range is expanding. We don't want to get caught up in a bunch of little choppy crap all day long, where we think, oh, this is going to go. We have to wait for the expansion to happen, and then we can confirm that everything else is lined up and we're going to take it. Now, the money management is a separate issue. I'm only giving you some suggestions on top of those Pong tables. That's a number we could use. Or you stay in this thing. If it's a big bar like that, I don't want to have to worry about it getting below that big bar. So I'm more inclined to start wanting to maybe some profits in here, but I don't know yet. That's the last piece of the puzzle. Assuming I fixed all this other stuff, is what is the money management? One choice is to stay in it till those slots turn black. Others is say, listen, that brings up 7-8 points. That's a lot of money. I'm out of there. And it's hitting the top of that Pong table value.
So what defines whether an angle will print or not?
The angle, you're talking about the angle on the bar.
Yes, so where your cursor is. So the yellow and blue angles.
It's another trend confirmation. That's all I can say in terms of looking at momentum and the expansion of the actual candle. And if everything is fine, which it usually is on these things, once it gets going, it's going to print there. Sometimes you'll get one where nothing's really going on and it won't print.
We just got a solid green for anyone watching.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I'm not on real-time data, so.
But we're not using the angles anymore on this rule set, right?
It doesn't appear that it's helping much unless you guys can figure out some advantage to it. If we can't find an advantage, I'm more inclined to want to just take something off the chart. Maybe it's a betting thing. If I get one that has an angle and one that doesn't, I'm probably going to want to bet bigger on the one that does. But I'd like to keep it there for now, just to see if it's adding any value at all. If it's not, then I don't like to keep anything on a chart. Not helping. It just creates more confusion. So if it's not helping us one way or another, we should take it off. But let's watch it for a little bit. I think it may help us in terms of confirming the trend. And maybe as we move along, we'll say, okay, well, that one didn't have an angle. That was a loser. And we'll start watching these.
Dan, in back testing this,
Yes.
can you, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, good. In back testing this, can you filter out, like when you get an R bar, can you filter out trades that where the other colors are not confirming it?
Sure.
Or
yeah.
You can.
Whatever rule,
Okay.
hard and fast rule you can define, I can test it.
Okay.
But you can see just like all this junk in here that we were looking to figure out how we're going to trade this thing, you can't get a trade in there. There's no signals. All this mess in here that would have probably beaten us up like crazy before. It's just not going to want us to do this. So you
And
have
how
to-
long would it take to back test this, Dan?
Day or two, but I
Okay.
I don't have our bar yet.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get the function. I'll get the function to Bob today.
Okay.
Doesn't have it either. So this is what I think works best now. You know, when Tammy and I first started working on zero DTE, I had it down pretty good, but we've made a lot of changes to that model over the last few months. So it's not likely this is the last iteration of this thing, but the goal is to get this thing so it's tradable now and we can make some money on it and then keep improving upon it.
Is
And
there
I think-
any value in looking at both the 3-minute and the 4-minute?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, I've got some results I can show you if you guys want to see the old version. I mean, maybe we don't even want to bother with it.
Yeah, I think let's put that on the table for now because everything's kind of changed. All the rules have kind of.
Mhm.
I know all the problems that you found, Dan.
Yeah.
That's why I mean,
Right.
all these had to be calculated before.
Yeah.
Somehow, but now they're not.
Okay.
So the results are going to be hopefully much better,
Yeah,
or at least improved.
Yeah.
To the point where we can make some money at this thing.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, what do you guys think of it so far?
Looks better to me.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it.
I like it.
Is there any gut feel for which one works better, the 3-minute or the 4-minute?
I do not. I'm going to leave that up to you.
Okay.
I would think the faster signal would work better. Just my gut feel.
And that would be the 3-minute, right?
I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to make any difference over the long term.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk about 3-minute and 15-minute, yeah, maybe that'll make a difference, or
Yeah.
30-minute or 1 hour. But I don't think 3 or 4 minutes going to make that much difference based on what I've been seeing.
Mhm.
Hey, Eric, can I
But we
ask
can
you
test it.
something off-
It's easy to test.
Sure.
can I ask something off subject a little bit?
Absolutely.
So last
Sure.
Saturday, you talked about the guy with the apple and doing a long option and a short call. If you change this to weekly, would that suffice for a tool for that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I just want to talk about this morning trade here when we got in over here on the R bar. So
And it
that bar was at
looks like it-
599. 590.
8:57 Central, so that would be 9:57 Eastern.
Yeah. So 3599.50. Now, this pivot down here, this 50 bar roll pivot is there. You're going to see these pivots down there. So this thing shoots down. It hits that. So it goes from 599.50 and it goes down to this roll pivot down here at 96.50, 95.50. So 4 points. Now the question is, it's hitting that pivot. Do you do something? Do you take?
Not until you get a
profit?
green. Not until you get a
Well, I
green
don't
R
know the
bar.
answer to that. You made 4 points. Depends what your goal is for the day. You've made 4 points. It's hitting that pivot. Do you do something there? Do you clean up? Do you move in your stop closer? Do you do some other manipulation?
So my tendency is to focus on a take profit of 5 points and 10 points. If I see that momentum's changing, or if I'm getting up to a level where I think it's likely to hit that and consolidate or reverse, then I'll make a discretionary decision. But otherwise, I'm looking at taking out at 5 points and taking out at 10 points.
Okay. So let's take a look at that then. So let's assume we
Real
stayed
quick,
in this
Art,
trade.
I may drop off. I'm switching over to, I've got a guy here looking at my internet connection. I've switched over, so I have my cell phone internet on, but it may drop the call if I don't have enough bandwidth.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later if that happens.
Very good. So on this trade here, if you did it that way, you got in at, so we're waiting for 599.50. If we stayed in this thing and waited for it to turn green, we got out at 598.25. We made a small profit, but now what would have happened yesterday with the older model, that would have been a loser. you would have given up all that swing and a loss. But the turns are much quicker now. So even though you gave up some of your profits, it didn't become a loser. You just didn't make as much as you had made. And so that's a big difference. Okay, so those small moves, 3 or 4 points that were turning into 1 or 2 point losers are now going to be small winners potentially. Now, another thing is if you're trading 2 contracts, one thing you might consider doing is if you're in this trade, take one off if it hits a pivot or a major area, and let the other one go, and then manage that other contract or whatever multiple of even numbers you're dealing with. So if you're trading 10 contracts, take 5 off here and see where it goes on the other 5, and as soon as it comes over, manage that part of it. Close the trade out for a small profit on the second contract. These are just ideas. You guys are better at day trading than I am. I'm just telling you, I've watched a number of day traders over the years, and I know this is kind of their mindset. When it hits something, they're more inclined to start taking some of the money off the table and managing the rest. That's just been my experience in dealing with these guys. So I think it's probably not a bad idea. Especially when you get to a 50 bar low like that. That's not just a 5 bar low, that's a 50 bar low. And you can see it's just a double bottom over here. So just another way to get our profits every day.
Yep.
Okay.
Looks really good.
I just want to go, any more questions on angles? Okay, so your feedback's critical. If we start seeing some problems, this can be all adjusted. The expansion, if we're getting in too late here, we can make changes to that, make it faster, slower. This is basically what I thought worked best. If you want it differently, we just change the expansion, make it faster or slower. Okay, so this is not set in stone. So it's up to you. I just didn't, my main goal was to avoid this. I didn't want to get into that mess. And this looks like a pretty damn good job of keeping us out of all that craziness. And there's your expansion. You can see it started. So we'd be long here. Now you've got a pivot up on the top here, up there. You can't see it. Let's see if I can move this down. Your data is real time, mine is not. So did it hit that thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So if it gets up here, what are you going to do? You made a nice move. Do you want to start taking, if you have 2 contracts, do you want to take one off there? Keeping in mind that we're in our second Pong flip up now. So once we get into the second Pong flip up, we're starting to say, okay, we get into that third one, we're really going to be looking to take some profit. So if the second Pong flip takes us up there, that's fine.
I noticed the latest time that I've got on angle is 9:12. Is that central time? Because mine's set to exchange as you've sent it out. So
Yeah,
I'm
I think
wondering why.
I think mine is set to the same as yours. I'm on exchange.
I'm on
Shouldn't it be-
exchange.
Yeah, we're all on exchange.
I'm just not sure why it would say 9:12
Yeah.
as the latest time.
Oh, because my data is delayed.
Mine shouldn't be.
Yeah, but mine is. So I'm an hour behind you. My data hasn't shown. Yeah.
I know, but I'm looking at my version, which should be on good data, but saying 9:12.
Yeah. You know, Dan and I are going to have to figure this one out with TradeStation, how to get this done. Maybe we have to start making some calls to these guys. I've never, all my experience has always been with people in New York. So I've never had time change issues. So this is a new thing for me. But we'll start thinking about how we can fix it. I don't have an answer for you, Bevan.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Okay.
I do have a question. What do we do? You see like on your screen how the 50 bar low, how you have multiple layers of text over the same over each
Yeah.
other. How do we do that? Because I've tried moving it and it doesn't work.
I think you have to go in here into settings, make sure your pointer tracker is off. And then what you got to do is drag them down. Does
But
that
they
work?
go back.
Oh, they do go back. That's weird. Okay.
So where would we, so on my, no, I'm sorry, on your screen, I can't see what the 50 bar pivot number is. So how would I know what that number is if I can't read it?
If you hold your cursor over one of the bars and click it, does it show you that value?
You mean on the data window?
No, on just one of the green bars where that line is, and you click on it,
It does.
show you that.
A black will come up and it shows you the price.
Okay.
Left click.
I'll see if I can clean that up. Yeah, see, now it's working. Maybe it's just a matter of doing this, expanding it a little bit. I don't know. I have to play around with the chart a little bit.
Okay, my situation is a little unique because I'm quite often driving. So I'm using my iPad through remote desktop. And so I can't do those types of things
I understand.
remotely.
I understand. Trying to figure out how to resolve your problem. But anyway, that was another nice swing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So once Dan is done with Bob and we get the functions to them, we're going to know, or at least I hope we know, Dan, is what these swings look like. So maybe we have one swing that's 20 points. We have one that's 4 points, one that's 10 points. What I want to know is what did 95% of them look like? If we find out that 95% of them are 4 points, that's all I'm going for, and I'm betting big. I'm not trying to get 20. But once we get that programmed, we'll know what those swings look like. You know, it'll build a bell curve. So we say, okay, this morning swing, it's all over the place, but 95% of them go at least 3 points. And that's what we should do. And you should bet big, not try to get more. If you're gonna do that and get that data, take most of the profits at 3 points. If you want to let the others run and manage it, that's fine. But something needs to be done at that bell curve where that's where most of the data, where the profits are. What you want to do after that, if you want to let some run, that's fine. So that's the goal, is I'll get the R-bar functions over to Dan. He can try to figure that stuff out. And then that's it, man. It's at 8:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and you get a signal, and you know that 95% of those things go 4 points. You load up.
Yeah. I use some other indicators for my scalping. One of them's very fast and the other one's slower. What I find is the faster one, I can get a 5-point take profit because it will tend to whip in, whip out, whereas the slower one is a bit more swing. So that's got a 10-point take profit. So it will go with multiple moves rather than just grabbing and gone.
Okay. So is that better than this, Bevan? We'll use your system. Then I don't have to do anything.
It's actually working quite well.
Okay.
What it doesn't do though is it doesn't recognize consolidation. So I'm needing to manually recognize consolidation.
Okay.
Are you interested in knowing what I'm using?
I'd always like to know what you're using.
Okay. So what I'm using is a 20 and a 36 hull moving average in Thinkorswim. With that moving average in Thinkorswim, it's got a very simple code, which where it gets to the apex, or whatever the opposite of an apex is, as in the lowest point, it changes color. So that also indicates momentum. With a hull moving average, it's got very little, what's the word? Lag. So it's very fast. It reacts very quickly.
So whole moving average, you mean a simple moving average?
No, it's called an HMA. It's
Oh.
it's an HMA average.
Okay.
It's actually from an Australian.
Yeah,
Alan
we
Hull.
actually did a lot of studies back 15 years ago versus the HMA versus the Gaussian filter. And that the Gaussian filter outperformed it every time. Now you can do a fast Gaussian filter too. This one's set at 21. But the problem with where the Gaussian filter outperformed the HMA was the data is much smoother on a Gaussian filter. You were getting less noise.
Yeah.
For us, for the data that we were looking at. So we opted not to use the HMA or do any derivatives. And we went with Gaussian filters, which is essentially what this is right here, this big green and red thing. Now you can do a faster version of this and a slower one. So anyway, that's interesting. Okay, maybe between the two of them, we'll figure it out. Anyway, so what I want you to look at here is you've had one Pong flip, two Pong flips, and now you're in this third one up here. This is when you're going to start thinking about taking some money off the table. I would. And if it starts hitting that pivot up there, which it's doing right now, that would be a place where I would start looking to maybe take some money off the table. So that was another nice move, right? So here you got in at 599.50. I'm sorry, 601.50. Actually, you got it right there. 599.50, and now you're up to 606, almost 607. So you got almost 7 points.
Is that 50 bar low and 50 bar high and 3 bar low, 5 bar low, is that lows from your smart candles, or is that's got to be lows from your smart candles, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
It is.
So I don't need to code. I wouldn't need Bob to code that. I can just do that myself if it's just.
Okay.
New high.
So here we go. We're just running up here, right? Decide what you do here. Keep this thing going, or you wait. Now it's starting to flash black, but you can see, well, I don't have my counter on this thing. So I don't know when my 3 minute bars. Oh, I do actually. This bar just started. So you have plenty of time in this thing. Now this gets into, where you have to start protecting, I guess, to some degree, right? There's a little bit more money management in here. So you've got to wait for this bar to close. You still have another 2 minutes and change now. But more importantly, you see how it caught the swing?
Mm-hmm.
That's the key thing, that it caught the swing and it keeps us out of nonsense.
I like it.
Yeah.
Is there a way to put an audio alert on the R bar?
Yes. So what you do is you go to your R bar, you right click, you edit it. Oops.
Oh.
And then you go to
Where
alerts.
do you right click on it?
Hold on, anywhere on the R bar, on the indicator, you right click on it, go to edit the R bar, and then go to alerts and create the kind of alert you want.
How would we do one for when we get a solid color?
Well, it's going to alert you once in your screen. I think there's a way I forgot how to do this. I think there's a custom one you can actually set it up to send you a text. And use this in a little bit. Let's see, use global. It's not letting me do that. I'll enable alert, and then you can do all these different things. You could use global preferences. You can go to custom, configure.
But by setting the alert, when does the alert trigger?
As soon as
That's what I can't figure out.
No, it's pretty right when that happens. You can set up an audible alert. The sound, you create the sound. You can get a visual, which will pop up on the screen. You can get an email, or you can send a text.
Okay, but my question is, what prompts this to trigger an alert? Is it when it changes to a solid color? Because that's not clear on here. Okay.
Yes, that's what's generating the signal.
Okay.
Okay. Now, make sure you don't have it like, when it's continuously like that. I wouldn't do that. Okay. Set it up alert once. If you miss it, you miss it. Or else you're going to get a million texts and it starts beeping at you 100 million times. You get kind of annoying. Figure out.
These alerts are funny. There's a lot of
Figure out
options.
what
I
works
love this.
best for you. Okay. I just want to spend a minute just going over. Are we done with this? I just want to review fly real quickly.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my chart?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a 5-minute on the right-hand side. This is a 4-minute. Let's go to yesterday. Let me blow up the 4-minute because Tammy and I were looking at this yesterday. Okay, hold on. So this is the 4-minute. Let me go to yesterday. Okay, I cleaned up the R bar so you have the little dots so you can see when it's ready to break out above the range. So this is really what we're looking for with this thing. We really want things to be sitting on this line primarily. That's our best chance getting a nice fly placed in. When you get into that smooth line in and then the prices start to consolidate like that, this thing goes flat and it's just sitting there on that. At some point you get this little yellow dot there, which suggests there might be some sort of a breakout. And if you've got most of your fly profit in there, you can see you avoided this whole move to the upside right there. So this is our best look at a fly when it's sitting right on that yellow filter. The other place where prices can consolidate is on yesterday's trigger, which is this white line right here. So you can get a few bars clicking in there. If you see something like this where it's just sitting on it, you can stay in that thing until you get a, another yellow dot right there. Or just wait till it starts breaking above this thing. But of course, it gets a little confusing because you've got this big histogram there. It's best to wait until everything's flat like this and try to catch those things. The other times that it seems to work well is when you can see all day long here, it was just sitting right around that yellow line all day long. So you might have had to take a couple of snippets. You can see you didn't have any R-bar breakouts in there until the end of the day when that just broke down like that. I don't know how that affects the fly, numerically. So you guys will have to help me out with that. So,
well, here's my question, because I'm going to be back testing this. So I know when you use words like sitting on that yellow line, and what I'd like to do is kind of operationalize that so that, like, for example, sitting on the line might mean any part of the candle is on the line, is on the yellow line. And that way it's easy for me to back test that.
Well, when you look at this picture on this day right here, what do you look at? What are you thinking when you see that?
Take the trade at the first blue after the yellow because it's touching the yellow line. That would be what I would do.
Like right here?
No. Okay. The one I'm looking at is the past that. See the next yellow line on the congestion finder? Okay, go the first blue past that.
Right here?
No, the first blue, right. The first blue past that yellow line. One tick to the right of it.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay,
you want to share your screen?
No.
Okay.
All right. See that yellow line that's right past where your fly is?
Yellow dot.
The yellow dot on the congestion finder.
Right here?
Yeah. That's where that right after that yellow is where I would take it, where it starts blue, and the candles on the yellow congestion finder are actually touching the yellow line.
Right, but the yellow dot means this is an expansion.
Yeah, so I'd go past that one, click where you first see blue, right there, and then you look and you. But that's not touching it, so I probably wouldn't take that, right? So the way I'd operationalize it is the candle on the congestion finder has to be touching that congestion finder line, and the congestion finder has to be flat.
Mm-hmm. Was this a profitable day if I got in over here to take a fly until I got my R bar?
Yep.
I didn't do a fly yesterday.
I'm asking you, just looking at this thing, would that have been a profitable day, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And my exit over here at the R bar, when this started breaking down over here, that exited my fly right there, that would have been fine?
Yes.
Okay, so my question to you is, should I try to get the congestion finder to work more closely with the R bar?
I'd have to look at other examples. I don't know if that's an anomaly or if that's the way a lot of them work. So if you just visually looked at flies and you said there are a lot of them that are similar to this one, then my answer to that would be yes.
Well, let's take this day right here. So I'm in this trade, everything is flat. I'm red, everything's great. And then right here, I get that yellow dot.
Yeah.
I do want to probably exit that fly right there, right?
Visually, yeah, that looks
Okay.
like a better time. Yeah.
So my question is, should I get this R bar here? I'll put a line here. Let me draw a vertical line.
Maybe the conservative thing is to either exit at the yellow or the R bar, whichever comes first.
Well, my question is, should I be playing around with the R bar to get this to be working closer with the yellow dot?
You could, or you could just set a rule that you exit on the first yellow or R bar, whichever comes first.
So my next question is, if I got into a fly over here, on these bars here, and I waited for the R bar over here, is that too late? Did I lose money by then?
It seems like it.
Okay, so the R bar, what you're telling me now is that the R bar is too slow. I have to figure out a way to get the R bar more closely related to the expansion.
Just to give a sensitivity with this, it depends on where your strike is. So your sold strike. Iron flies are a lot more sensitive than iron condors. So it's likely that R bar is late, and that would be the difference between a profitable or a not profitable trade.
I want to err, like basically what you're saying is, Bevan, I need to err on the side of caution and make it more constrictive than more open.
Well, that yellow dot would be perfect for exiting.
Okay, so I'm gonna work on getting the R bar more closely related to that yellow dot, so we get two signals at around the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to play around with that.
Now, are we only entering when there's red?
No,
Because
you can enter when it's blue if you're fairly confident that everything's in the, it's just sitting around on one of these lines here. If you can see it's consolidating, you can enter on the blue. Red, you definitely is fine. Red is a more consolidation, and then this means something's expanded.
Yeah. Okay.
As is the R bar. So this is a quicker expansion than that. I'll try to clean this up a little bit and move this a little closer in here so we don't have a loser by the time we get this signal. There's no point in having this in here if by the time we get it, we've had a loser.
Yeah.
That defeats the whole purpose.
What I'm seeing after that yellow dot is that we've got a lot of blue, and the blue continues and then it goes into red. Those R bars obviously say expansion, so that would be something that would negate us from re-entering.
Yeah, I think whenever you have a blue as opposed to a red, whenever you have one of these versus that, this really needs to be, you got to watch where the price is. Make sure it's sitting right on something, preferably this yellow line. If it's doing this, even though that's blue, I wouldn't mess with it, because you can see this is all blue in here. This thing's taken off. So I'm not interested in doing that.
So for the purpose of back testing, if any part of the candle is on the yellow line and the congestion finder's flat, I'll take the trade.
Yes. Yes.
So with the yellow line, is that just VWAP?
When you say yellow line, you're talking about this?
Yep.
What's your question?
Is that VWAP?
It's a modified VWAP. It's smoothed out.
Okay.
But the basic math is VWAP.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I had to smooth it out. It was moving around a little bit too much. So I had to put a smoothing coefficient in there to get it so it wasn't bouncing around as much. And then of course, you have your rectangles in here. You want to stay on this trade here. When it starts getting above that pivot, you're breaking into yesterday's range. So we definitely don't want to see that. All day long, it's been sitting below the prior day's range, this colored rectangle over here. And then of course over here, not only do we get an expansion, but it starts breaking into the prior day's range. And you can see what happens. Once we start moving into a prior day's range, that's a, if you're doing a fly.
What was interesting on the back test is there were long periods of time where there were no fly signals. I mean, a month and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was because it was high volatility. That was March and April.
Mhm.
Remember what happened in the market in March and April.
We're having 1,000-point swings.
Yeah.
Well, Dale, then is your option is to say, okay, I'm going to get in at 10:30 or 11:30 every day, and I'm going to manage the trade, and then see what it looks like using these yellow dots and R bars as filters, and see if it helps exit the trade better rather than just getting out at 12%. That's another choice. Not even using congestion to say, well, I'm going to go in at 11:30 every day and manage the trade, and as soon as I see one of these expansions, I'll get out of there. That's
Dale,
another choice.
what happened in your old back test when you were getting in at a certain time and getting out at a certain time? What happened during March and April in that test?
You want me to open that up, or you want me to look
Just
at it
see-
later and answer that
Yeah,
on
you-
Slack?
You can just post it on Slack just
Okay.
to see, were there more failures during that time, or
Yeah.
did your strategy work okay during that time?
Yeah. Well, let me go.
I'm-
I'll open it
I
while
have
you
a-
guys are talking, and I'll be able to get you the answer before we get off
Okay.
here.
I suppose what we're highlighting is if IV expands, then will this model work with an expanded IV?
Well, that's a good question, and maybe what we need to do is at certain levels of IV on the SPX, that we just go ahead and keep it like this. If the model changes and the volatility changes, we just go in and we have to figure out, do we change some of these coefficients in here and make
Yep.
these numbers a little different depending on the VIX.
Tammy,
Okay.
I've got the data here, and I had 2 failures in March and 1 failure in April.
That's pretty incredible.
And 2
huh?
failures in May. So what
Yeah.
it seems to yeah,
This is on this system or your system?
mine.
Dale's
Okay.
system. Yeah.
That's excellent. I know some people were trading ironflies through some very volatile periods. Personally, I
Yeah.
didn't. That was a bit too much for me. But some people did, and they hit their take profits really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that extra volatility, it's Art's model is filtering those trades out, but what Dale's results show is that extra volatility actually helps those and those traders that were trading during that time. So
When you have failures, your
Interesting.
failures are bigger because your premiums are larger.
yeah,
But at the same time, your winners are bigger.
yeah.
Actually, you brought up a good point there, Dale. The way that Jim Olsen does his ironflies is that he looks at the credit received. So the credit receive expands with an expanded IV. So the two match each other. And with you using a percentage of credit, then that would also expand with IV.
Sure. And the stop loss would also expand. So, right.
So do we not use this thing?
No, I'm not saying we not use it.
I'm asking.
I'm really curious as to how this new this will affect. So I'm anxious to go back and back test it again and see what the data is. I think we've got some real potential of staying in longer using your model and making extra profit on some bigger wins. So what I think you're going to see is you'll have some bigger wins when it's successful, and that's kind of what makes me want to continue to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Something that excuse me, something that I'd like to know about the fly model. So when we do have an R bar, you know, like we had discussed, just selling the losing or just buying back the losing side. And what I'm curious is how many times there's an R bar, does it actually go back? And, you know, would we be able to leave the winning side on, or when would we exit that winning side? Because like I'm looking at, just for example, 1119, when you get that R bar that's, you know, right before maybe 1430, you know, if you would have just sold the call, the call side, you could have stayed in the put side and you would have been fine. So that's something, you know, you could have saved yourself a couple dollars there.
Mm-hmm. Talking about on this one right here.
Right.
Okay.
But what I was thinking when I was looking at this, say you do just sell the call side, when that happens, maybe putting a stop order on for the put side, like if it gets back down to, because theoretically, I think yesterday, for example, I know this isn't the right one, but say we're on like 3,700 on SPY, or no, 3,570, I think it was yesterday, SPX. So say we're at 35.85 when we decide to sell or to buy back the call side, maybe we put in an order to buy back the put side only if it gets back down to 35.70, because by then we would have bled out a lot of that premium anyways. But as you see here, it wouldn't have triggered.
Mm-hmm.
Or so yeah, so this one over here, yeah, so this is yesterday. So the one that's around 1,500, if we would have just sold the call side, because that was the one that busted out, the put side we wouldn't have needed to sell that side, so we could have kept that premium, or buy that side so we could have kept the premium.
If you develop a hypothesis for rules, and then somebody wants to volunteer to back test that, I can, and if they don't know how to use ThinkBack on Thinkorswim and you have access to it, I'll be willing to show you how to back test that.
April has OptionNet Explorer, which would be even better.
Okay, that's good.
And,
Yeah. As soon as I finish this other one for Tammy, yeah, I think I'd like to look at that. So, but I don't want to. I don't want to double up on the work that Dale is doing. So
yeah.
But
I
we could make a list of your hypothesis of rules, and then add that on our list of things that we want to accomplish. And whoever's ready to help with that can then grab that project and begin to tackle it may or may not be you.
Okay.
But should this work the same on ES? Because the R bars seem to be very blocky all the time on ES.
Well, it should work on, yeah, let's try it. No, that's not going. Oh, okay. So this is today. This is a 4-minute chart on ESZ20. I guess this is the, here's the open right here. Yeah, so we'd have to change the R bar on that.
Okay.
This is got to be multiplied by 10. The other one was on SPY, right?
Yes.
So you got to do, make it. So that looks pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm looking, where's the open? It's the open somewhere over here, right? This is a continuous contract, but this is the opening, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30. So this is the day so far. I don't know, can you trade a fly in there? See, I'm not even getting the histogram on that thing. It's not printing properly. I'd have to check and fool around with all the settings.
So one of the times that can be good for doing a fly is just in the consolidation prior to open. So about the half an hour to an hour before market opens, price tends to consolidate. So that's, if we can get it to work on ES, then there's an opportunity on that time frame that you won't see on SPY.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the advantage of trading ES because it trades after hours. Otherwise, during the market, I'd rather trade SPX because of pricing.
I gotta just get my charger one second.
Of cost of my transaction costs.
Yeah. And I tend to look at ES. Doesn't matter whether I'm using SPX, ES or SPY. I'll look at ES and then use the other instrument for the actual trade.
Yep. Have you noticed any difference on charts between ES and SPY in terms of signals that you get for entry or exit on angles?
Not really.
Okay,
No.
that's good.
Okay, so I've got a little more work to do on that R-bar thing on this unit. I'll try to get it working on ES, play around with that.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
Hey, Art, just going
Okay.
back to setting the alert on the R bar on angle. I set the alert while we've been on the call, and we just had another solid green angle about 5 minutes ago, and I did not get the alert. Is that something that
Angle
I
or
should
R-bar?
work with? The R bar did not. I didn't get the audio alert that I programmed it to do. So is that something that you would be able to help me with, or would I contact TradeStation support?
Dan, can you imagine why that wouldn't work? I can't figure it out.
I'm not sure.
I just changed it to consecutive. I know it would be annoying for a second, but just to see if it happens again.
I'll play around with it. I generally don't use alerts too much, but I'll look at it for you.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the 0 DTE today. Devin, I have to work with you to get all your signals working. I don't know why your show me's not working, but I'll fix it up with you. So this is the way my chart looks today. We would have been all these puts.
Yeah, mine doesn't look that nice.
Okay. So we just have, you and I have to just set up some time on Zoom where I can just go in and clean it all up for you.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether you just send through the files again. I'll upload them and see whether that makes a difference.
Okay. I'll send you my workspace too. This is not an indicator; it's a show me. So that should all come into the screen when I'm done sending everything to you.
Is it just a case of uploading it like an ELD? You know, importing as an ELD.
Yeah. Well, first you have to download the ELD files, and then I'll send you a new workspace.
Okay.
And so the only thing you'll have to do there is just adjust the times to make sure everything's working for you, because everything comes in on Eastern.
And this is
I tend to put everything on Exchange.
Right. The only thing that Tammy and I have not done yet, guess I'll figure out what you guys want to do, is when Tammy was doing the back test, she felt we figured out that this histogram has some value. So if we're selling puts here, we want to make sure the histogram is green. We had a few of them where it was telling us to sell a put. And of course, there were some losers that shouldn't have been losers. The other thing is, like on yesterday, I was trading this thing with Tammy, well, she was doing it herself, but when you get a trade like this in the morning, when you're getting all these put trades over here, can you guys see where I'm pointing? And the eco trend is this far up, it's best to wait. Because oftentimes what will happen is this, it'll slide down on you. And so what I did was I didn't take the trade here. I'm selling the 35.50s. I just waited till it got all the way down here. And then I waited for the eco trend to turn around right about there. I waited for a green slot, confirm that. And then I just sold the puts there all the way down here. So I got a much better premium than I would have gotten, and I didn't have to deal with this thing. So when you get a trade and the eco trend's that high, you know, when it's shooting up like that, it may be best to wait for a couple of red candles and see where it takes you.
So
Now,
where,
today, I'm sorry, go ahead.
where did you enter that trade?
Well, I ended it over here.
Where did you end up entering that trade?
Over here.
Okay.
When I got the green eco trend and I saw the slot was turning back up. And then I went all the way down to 35.30. I didn't have to do the 35.55s. And I got almost 15 cents for that, $1.50.
I'm looking at
way away.
I'm looking at SPY. You're looking at XSP. I noticed my 1 hour signal for today says 9 up, 7 down. Yours says 11 up.
I'm on XSP.
Yes, I know. And that should be different if you're.
No, it should be the same if we're on the same exchange.
Okay, so let me change mine.
I don't know what the difference is between SPY and the index, why it calculates that differently. But if I put on SPY
thought we
here,
weren't supposed to use SPX.
no,
on
I
Pong.
just popped this thing up.
Okay.
I look at this one. This is
XSP or SPY.
this is SPY.
SPY for the signals.
That's right. This is SPY today.
Okay.
Hit the wrong one.
Okay, now mine looks like yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the way it should look today. Okay. As opposed to just putting on.
I like
ahead.
that idea because it's the one big difference between Pong and my old system. Is my old system, I was often, waiting for a move down to sell puts, and I'd get much better premium by doing that. And just trading Pong right when the signal comes out, you're trading at the point, like if I bought put or sold puts at that high, I'm selling them at the worst possible time because for premium. So I like waiting a little bit until you get a better price.
Well, maybe we think about it's good to sell a put, but that doesn't necessarily mean at that exact time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Look
it's a
at
signal to
today's
sell
example.
and wait for a good time.
Yeah, and you can look at pricing to determine your timing.
Yeah,
So,
it just makes it hard to back test that.
Yeah, and of course you have today where you got these signals up here, and you were telling to sell a put, and you say, well, it's a little extended here. I'll just wait.
Yeah,
And then you didn't
And
get
then you
in
wait.
until you didn't get
and it
in until
keeps
all the way
going
over
up.
here.
Well, you
Well-
got in on the first green dot after those red ones, right? That would have been.
I'd say, Tammy, don't take that into account on your back testing, but
Yeah,
we may be able to improve upon it by 1 or 2% by using human discretion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a difference when the bars kind of meander up like this and you're extended versus the way they did yesterday when you had that,
they
the
just
big
shot up.
Yeah, I mean, it shot up and then this thing was ready to rotate around.
Yeah,
And of course, you never got a red slot up here to tell you to wait around. This one, it turned red right away, which is what I saw. And then I just realized it's best just to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
This one never generated any.
And for the record, if you had stops on yesterday, you would have got stopped out on your puts. Whereas if you had some other type of adjustment strategy of rolling, you would not have.
I didn't get stopped.
that's right.
No, but if you had a stop
If
loss
you had
of
like a 3-time stop,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, Dan got stuff.
anywhere from 3 to 5, because at one time, Tammy, you and I were 6 times.
Yeah, that's right. It got down to about 6 times the initial credit.
6.3, I think, close
Yeah.
to be exact.
That's right.
Now, what makes the difference is whether it's a range day or whether it's a trending day. So if that turned out to be a trending day, that would have been an ideal time to enter the puts. Turned out to be a ranging day, so then it was a worse time to enter the puts. So that's.
How do you know if it's going to be a trending day or a range day?
Well, yesterday was an IC day, right? You sold the
$1 million
puts
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you sold the puts here. You had some calls over here you could have sold.
Yeah,
So you did sell both sides yesterday.
that's true. Yeah. I actually made good money yesterday, even though I didn't get a great credit on my puts. I could have made more, but
It was a
still a
sweater.
good day.
Mm.
That's true.
And it was, I think there's times where you were sweating on both sides. I mean, it might have not gotten close to the calls, but it was zooming up at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that move in the green up about 1,500 on Arch chart. My call value went to 0 then, and I had about $1,000 or more in my calls until that time, and they went to 0. It's like, oh no.
Okay, guys.
Should have
Any
got
other questions you guys have about anything? Devin, I'll send out everything to you. We'll give it one more shot.
Yep. Sure.
Okay.
I always appreciate the input on timing for these angles on Slack. So just appreciate you guys that are trading it to kind of give input there.
Yeah. Now, for other people that are in that room that are fooling around with stocks, if they're looking at Pfizer or Macy's or something else, R bar does not do what Pong does. Pong you could stick on SPY or Apple. It's going to make the adjustment. It kind of understands how that stock trades and builds the tables around it.
Okay.
But R bar does not. Set up to work on SPY or whatever you put it on, SPX. You can't just say, okay, now I'm going to just change this to Pfizer. It's not. You're going to get a bunch of garbage out there because that R bar has to be matched to the personality of whatever you stick on that. That adjustment has to be made in the inputs. It doesn't have the smarts enough to figure out, okay, well, I'm looking at Pfizer now. So
okay.
If you're looking at a million different things, that's not going to work.
Good to know.
Okay. So
Art, yesterday we added R bar to Pong on my Pong. Are you going to add that for everybody?
Pong on this chart?
Yeah, I thought we did.
Why do you need R bar on this?
I don't know. I was trying to remember why we turned it on.
We were turning it on. No, I was showing you angles yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't think we had it on Pong. I don't know what advantage it has on here, other than to maybe say, well, you could put it on there and just say, well, if it's 2 o'clock and I get a R bar expansion against me and I got most of my profits, I could get it out.
Yeah.
That's when bad things start to happen, when you start getting that expansion in the afternoon. It won't hurt.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking we were using it for some particular reason, but I don't remember why.
We were using it for a swing initially, try to catch the swing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we initially were looking at. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So if I took the R bar,
yeah, that's right. Yesterday we added it and then moved it down to the bottom. Maybe we were talking angles and I just happened to have it on my Pong table, my Pong chart.
So you can't keep this 7. You gotta change this.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Art, for all the changes you're making on this.
Yeah,
well,
I think it just continues to improve.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. We get enough people watching the stuff and telling us, let's fix this, let's fix that.
Yep.
And now we're kind of tinkering with it, so we'll get it done.
Hey
Okay.
guys, I think
That's great.
to back test this, first I look at the failures from the last one and see, and then maybe go through and test it all after that again.
And if
Yeah.
we need to make it, if we need to make adjustments, you know, we'll figure out how to do that. I mean,
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, by the way,
Thanks,
just
guys.
so this is the R bar for yesterday.
Yeah.
So if you had 80% of your profits over here when you saw that,
Yep.
that's probably, you mean, you didn't know this thing was going to shoot.
Yeah. And that's probably why I hadn't closed out. I didn't have 80% of my profits
Yeah.
by that point.
Well, you can put it on there. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Thanks,
See ya.
guys.
Thanks,
Uh-huh.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.